guys, so today we're talking all about how to avoid the 10 biggest mistakes that you can make in your exams. Most of these I've made myself, so I hope you find this really helpful. And let's get started. So mistake number one is not knowing exactly what the exam is going to look like. So you really need to make sure that you familiarise yourself before the day of the exam with exactly what the paper is going to look like. I made this mistake when I was doing my own exams when I was at Cambridge in my first year, my Spanish literature exam. I basically thought I was really well prepared, which I was, but I just hadn't taken the time, the 10 minutes it would have taken to look over the exam paper, make sure I was really familiar with exactly where each of the different essay questions came up, and it basically meant that I missed out on answering kind of my favourite essay question because I didn't think it was on the paper, and it actually was. It was just in a different section. So don't do that. So mistake number two is to cram right up until the very last second before the exam. Now I recommend that you absolutely do use time before the exam to go over material, but leave yourself 10 minutes before the exam to go for a walk, breathe deeply, and then also avoid standing around outside the exam hall with all of the people who are busy stressing each other out. Believe in yourself. Maybe what I personally do is tell yourself that you're going to be fine, you've worked as hard as you can, and all you can do is your best. So mistake number three is to get your timings wrong. Now timings are absolutely crucial. I remember when we were doing our GCSE English exams, a few of my friends managed to only leave themselves half an hour for what was supposed to be an hour-long essay, and that really pulled their mark down. So make sure that you're really disciplined with yourself. If, for example, you're in a 3-hour exam, which lots of university exams are, and you have an hour for each essay, make sure that when that hour is up, you stop writing pretty much. You bring your answer to a fairly swift conclusion so that you can get on to the next question. Examiners understand that you're under time pressure, they'll understand, but what they won't understand is if you've only had half an hour to write your last essay and it's just not as good as it needs to be. The second point on timing is to make sure that if you have time left over at the end of the exam, don't sit there twiddling your thumbs, check over your work. Mistake number four is not reading the question carefully. And now I'm sure you've probably all had written on your work, I certainly have, RTFQ, read the flipping question. This is such an easy mistake to avoid. Just take a couple of extra seconds on the day of the exam when you're under pressure to underline keywords in the question to make sure that you're not writing something totally unrelated to what the examiner is looking for. Mistake number five is very much related to mistake number four. It's to answer the flipping question. Now what I mean by that is that if you have, prior to your exam, prepared essay plans, looked at essay titles, and thought about what you might like to write about in the exam, make sure that on the day of the exam, you use words from the question and you answer the examiner's question rather than just rewriting out a pre-learned essay. Of course, you can use chunks of information that you've learned, but make sure that you answer the question that's been set. Otherwise, you'll be punished by the examiner. Mistake number six is just generally to panic. Don't panic, Mr. Mandarin! If, for example, as we've just been saying, the essay title you wanted to come up doesn't, stay calm. It's probably happened to other people in the exam. It may just be a really hard paper. There's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is know that you've worked really hard, manipulate your knowledge to answer the question that has been set, and do your best. Mistake number seven is to spend way too long on one question. Make sure that on the day of the exam, if you find a question really hard, have a go at it. But if you're really struggling to get through it, move on. You need to make sure that you're earning your easy marks first, and then you can always come back by circling the questions that you find hard. Always come back to answer those difficult questions. Mistake number 8 is to mess up multiple choice questions. There are two little mistakes that you can make here. Number one is to leave the question blank. You might as well have an educated guess, so cancel out answers that it's definitely not, and then have a stab at one of the answers that you think it might be. The kind of second thing to make sure you're doing is not ticking or selecting too many options on a question. So the question says, select 3 options, make sure you only select 3 options. Do not select 4 or you'll get no marks for that question. Mistake number 9 is to annoy the heck out of everyone else in the exam hall. So a few things here, this is just a bit of a rant for fun. Number 1, if you have a sniffly nose, blow it before the exam, take tissue in with you. I understand you can't help it, but no one wants to listen to you throughout the whole of the exam. Similarly, tapping your pen, moving your chair, wiggling around, just don't do it. Also, going to the loo, I feel like just go to the loo before the exam. I honestly have the bladder of a 4-year-old child, and even I managed to make it through a 3-hour exam. So try not to go to the loo if you can, because you're just wasting valuable time when you could be focusing on the exam. Mistake number 10 is to speak to all of your friends outside of the exam hall right after the exam. Now, I'm not going to say to you that I don't think you should talk about the exam at all. I just think don't speak to all of the people crowded around the exam hall, just like before the exam, after the exam, who are just stressing each other out, saying the answers, going through every single question on the paper. It's just not helpful. However, what I do recommend is that you call a friend or a family member, girlfriend, boyfriend, and just talk through the exam with them. If you feel like it didn't go as well as you'd hoped, I feel like it is really helpful to just get that off your chest, so that you can then move on once you've got it off your chest. Someone else has listened to your woes, they've consoled you, and you can just move on then from with your revision, rather than kind of it being in the back of your mind and pestering you as you try to carry on by forgetting it. So yeah, speak to someone about it, but just don't speak to all of the people huddled round at the end of the exam. Now it's time for what is undoubtedly the best bit of this video. It's time for the bloopers. Oh, no. Shh. I can't act. Oh, it's that sudden realisation when you realise you just can't act. Hi guys, today we are talking all about how to avoid the 10 biggest mistakes that you can make in your... Let's start again because I just clapped because I'm just like, my hand's just going at it. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to this video. Today we're talking all about how you can avoid the 10 biggest mistakes. I panic when you're here, I don't know why. Hi guys. Welcome to this video. Today we're talking all about how to avoid the 10 biggest mistakes that you can make in your exams. Many of these I've made myself, so I hope that I can...
What?
I don't know, I just lose it when you're here. So step one is mistake number one. Just chill here. Mistake number 4 is not reading the careful. Unrelated, and lose marks stupidly. Damn it! I'm so good!
You can just cut it at lose marks.
Do it one more time. I like to think of this, I use the analogy of a businessman. A businessman doesn't pursue the final 10%. Yeah, I just won't do that, it's a bad analogy. It's an analogy from the rules of religion. It's actually a really good analogy in that.
Yeah,
but it's just
blah,
a bit
blah,
long.
blah.
It just doesn't really work.
Yeah.
It's not in the
Punchy.
format.
It was great before you said that bit.
Maybe I can just cut that, or I'll do it again. What's this? Mistake number 7 is to what? What am I even talking about? Mistake number 2 then. So I hope you found this really helpful. I hope you can avoid all of these mistakes on the day of your exam. Good luck if you have exams coming up. And thank you so much for watching. Please do like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment below if you have exams coming up, if you found this helpful, if you've made any of these mistakes, or if you didn't hopefully make any of these mistakes. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thanks for watching.